Tune in, turn on, and laugh your head off.
All right already!
The Cable Guy is hysterical. Jim Carrey is a comic genius.
Silence of the land.
Don't you?
Once he gets plugged in, there's no stopping him.
Oh, Billy!
Jim Carrey, Matthew Broderick, The Cable Guy, rated PG-13.
Good whatever to you whenever you're watching this episode of Successful Failures. I am Dillon, and this is my co-host Tommy, Secret Snake.
Hello.
And this was a suggestion by you to cover on this show, The Cable Guy. I had not gotten into this movie since it was initially released, and as we saw by that trailer, it had like the Ren and Stimpy wacky music. I know it had been around for a while then. One of the reasons Ren and Stimpy used it is because it was very cheap and really got you in the mood for a Jim Carrey movie, because we really need to set the tone of why people hated this movie so much. And I did go to a YouTuber who did a good job in telling the history of this movie. This was Media Pastimes. His video came out a month ago. Chris Farley in the lost version of The Cable Guy. I kind of want to talk about that lost version before we dive into the version that we got.
That was it. Chris was approached. I talked to like I know the guy, Chris Farley. Chris Farley was approached with the early script, and it was being geared for him, but scheduling conflict made him pass over it.
And our friend over at Media Pastimes got very in detail with that. In his 20-minute video, he got his sources from David Spade's book, and Farley was actually kind of upset with Spade because he had a 2-picture deal. Tommy Boy was the first one, Black Sheep was the second. And he thought Black Sheep was good, but didn't think it was ready, thought it needed some work. David Spade was like, look, we'll fix it while we're on set. We can make this work. And Farley was so gung-ho about making The Cable Guy that he was kind of upset. And it kind of got out of their hands of a new director coming in, taking away the writer they wanted to work with, didn't allow them the freedom that they wanted to do. Kind of the reverse of Neighbors with Aykroyd and Belushi. I don't know if you know that, but Belushi and Aykroyd took over that movie, whereas the director did her job on Black Sheep, took over the movie, and it wasn't what Spade and Farley wanted it to be. So, yeah, it got out of Chris Farley's hands, and Jim Carrey was the hottest thing going. Once they signed Jim Carrey, it wasn't going back to Farley. As much as Farley was a beloved actor, and the initial screenwriter wrote this to be a buddy comedy with Farley. I don't know if Farley was in mind, but very quickly he got attached.
Right.
Jim Carrey is the one who took this in a direction. He took The Cable Guy into kind of a psychological thriller type of direction that audiences didn't want out of him. He's coming off of Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, a whole string of movies. Like to me, I remember
Mask, and I think Dumb and Dumber 2, or not Dumb and Dumber 2, but Ace Ventura 2 was also out before The Cable Guy. So that he had 4 more juvenile comedy movies already in the can before this.
Ace Ventura blew him up. Absolutely Italian Stallion. The 5-movie run before this established Jim Carrey as the wacky leading guy, major person in Hollywood. But Jim Carrey didn't want to be pigeonholed into that. Right. So when he came on for this wacky buddy comedy, he was like, he wanted to retool it the same way that Farley and Spade wanted to retool Black Sheep, and they didn't quite get what they want. Jim Carrey did, in essence, get what he wanted. This knocked him a little bit out of that wacky guy in that George Costanza we were talking about last night with Hackride and Electra on their recorded stream. When you see him, he's just always George. So Jim Carrey didn't want to be Ace Ventura everywhere all the time. So that's what he got. And even the writer of this film wasn't he was confused by what happened to his wacky buddy comedy. Jim Carrey happened.
Lou Holtz Jr. was the actual, he wrote the treatment and the script. On the back of the Laserdisc, there's on the back of a VHS, there's all this description. And it gives Lou Holtz Jr. one paragraph. It's like he was not even a part of this anymore after all of this. He was a deputy district attorney in Los Angeles.
First movie he wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. First screenplay. And a buddy comedy needed about a cable guy you can't get rid of. But then the rest of all of this is about Jim Carrey, Judd Apatow taking over and turning it into the movie that they wanted to write. And Ben Stiller came in as director.
But the thing is, we didn't get that movie that they wanted to present us. The studio saw the initial cut, said, "Oh no,
it was too dark.
We need reshoots," but too late. All the promotions are in place, and sometimes you can push those back. This was something where, like, whatever deal, Taco Bell and all the commercials, whatever tie-in promotions were in place. We can't reshoot. What do we do? So that they made it less dark and gave us this 95-minute movie we have that is, honestly, I don't think it went far enough. I want that darker version.
I want to see. I wish I would have got the DVD. There's got to be a slew of deleted scenes. Also on the back of this, it mentions that Ben Stiller shot a light version of the scene and a dark version of the scene. And the other thing it mentions that I want to spit out real quick, they were trying to put Jim Carrey in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle or something like that.
That one specifically?
No, they mentioned that. Here we go. Apatow says this. Basically, we agreed to the idea of turning the film into a satiric comedy when we thought of Jim as the type of person you would see in Fatal Attraction or The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Oh, suddenly the joke possibilities are endless. Right, like they're trying to take the darkness from those movies and put Jim Carrey in the middle of those types of scenes, you know, where
and that actually would have been in the rewatch of this, that would have been the movie I'd like to see. I felt this did not go far enough in its darkness. So I think the initial draft that they turned into the studio, I would have been a fan of. In the intro that we had there, we saw Jim Carrey on the windshield of Matthew Broderick's car. That's actually a deleted scene.
Yep. It doesn't
that scene cuts off like Jim Carrey is stalking him in the garage and making car alarms go off, but then it just cuts. So that's actually when it turns from them building the friendship. To me, there's not enough time dedicated to the dark stalking portion of the movie, and I'm a stickler for runtime. Like Tommy Boy, I think is under 90 minutes, like 80-90 minutes is all a comedy movie needs. But this being wanting to be a thriller, I think it did need that extra 5 minutes to be like 105-minute movie to be effective. And it was, just not the studio butting in and trying to soften the movie for the wider audience, which they like, no matter what, the wider audience was not going to like this.
I agree, because of the setup of where it was going. Like even in the trailer, they show more of the higher satirical comedy. Like you said, he was on the hood of a car. That's physical comedy that people are used to seeing Jim Carrey do.
And that was actually, yes, supposed to be like a scary type of scene. And we saw it played up. Like it seemed that trailer that we saw at the start of the film was promoting Jim Carrey's next Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey's next Ace Ventura. So they're bringing audiences in. One of the more recent things of that is the Suicide Squad, not by Gunn, but the guy before him, where you look at the trailers and it was the Joker and Harley Quinn movie. And then you get in there, it's like, what the fuck is this? This is a series of music videos, massive studio interference. But the trailer absolutely promising one thing. They apparently had a bunch of footage. Jared Leto and his shitty portrayal of the Joker, I'm actually not upset that we didn't get any more of that, but that's what we were promised, was this damaged, shitty Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah. And it should have been more of that movie than labeling it even Suicide Squad. It should have been. And same thing with Birds of Prey. That was more a Harley Quinn vehicle than it was for the other female superhero characters. Like Canary, I can't remember all of them.
Getting the audience's expectations there to see one movie and delivering another one, it's going to be a bad response. And it's just a way to we need to get in some more people. We need to make our money back. I believe they made their money back here. And
yes. I was reading through the Wikipedia, and they cleared, I think, 100 and something million worldwide, and it was like a $40 million budget. And it was only 40 million because half of that was Jim Carrey's pay at the time. I think he was one of the first $20 million guys, like that's what he was getting a movie.
The budget exploded because Farley, he was actually going to take a much lower salary for this movie. Farley had fucked up. He went on a drug binge and he was taking a much lower salary for several movies in a row. And so, this would have been, this would have been a much lower budget movie with Farley in its place. But the elements that are here, I do enjoy this picture. I'll be bringing up of Jim Carrey. This is early on in the movie. I did pull a lot of clips, and a lot of them got a DMCA, not DMCA. That's for music. It got a copyright claim. So I have a lot of stills and only a few videos to share with you folks. But here is our first intro. Well, actually, as we start to dissect this movie, I want to talk about the intro where there's channel surfing.
Oh, and good scene.
It's a fun little scene where we have the Press Your Luck. That always made me smile. The Whammy Show, as I called it. Those were high-tech visuals at the time of a little shitty cartoon Whammy coming across the screen.
And to that, when Dick Clark and Ed McMahon hosted the bloopers, they would do a blooper show, and little animated guys would come out and sweep the scene away. It's akin to that. Press Your Luck little animations. I loved it as a kid.
They have also in the intro a bunch of 90s talk shows that was such a staple of the time, and a couple of TV shows. It ends with All in the Family, but it does have a little bit of My Three Sons, which is a little nod to what we get later.
Some foreshadowing.
And anybody who recalls My Three Sons, and another thing about this movie, kind of prophetical of where we go, like Jim Carrey talking in movie quotes. I talk in movie quotes more than this obsessed TV guy talks in movie quotes.
I was this close to taking the count of how many times he quotes a movie or a television show, but the truth is I don't think I would have caught them all. Because he pulls some stuff from the 60s that it did go over my head.
Yeah,
as a teenager.
Like you and I, we have a little bit. It's spotty of those 60s, 70s sitcoms, but 80s, 90s. That's what we would be referencing. That's what the modern day cable guy would be referencing. So Matthew
Simpsons
Broderick
all day.
I have an encyclopedic knowledge of The Simpsons first 9-10 seasons. I have the first 8 on DVD, so I believe that's I didn't feel the need to buy number 9. So obviously in my head that's where it dropped off. And Oakley and Weinstein, it was actually their episode. The Principal and the Pauper was a holdover from season 8 that everyone points at, like the invasion of the body snatchers of that being the downfall of The Simpsons. And damn it, Oakley and Weinstein. I love those guys so much, especially since Oakley grew up 2 towns over from where I did in Maryland. So Same type of weird humor coming from small town Maryland with me and Bill Oakley. So yeah, that was a fun little intro that we had, a little foreshadowing with My Three Sons. And Matthew Broderick just broke up with his girlfriend, and we have an all-star cast. Well, a future all-star cast, as he calls his buddy Jack Black. And Jack Black is like, hey, whatever you do, just don't call your girlfriend. And then a jump cut calling his girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah. No. Matthew Broderick is very forlorn over his girl. And you understand why, because it's Matthew Broderick. And then you see it's Leslie Mann, who is,
I think Leslie Mann
super attractive,
has gotten more attractive with age. As I saw her in this movie, and I've seen her in more current movies. I think she has gotten more attractive in her 30s and 40s rather than here in her 20s. It's still not bad looking, but very very well aging on Leslie Mann.
Yes, I agree. And unfortunately, the first scene you see her in, we'll get to, she has that look on her face. And if you've ever had an argument with your girlfriend, you've seen the look. You've seen it. And she's portraying it very well. And that's the scene where he starts to win her over, I think, after taking some advice.
What's really funny with her introduction of him calling her, jump cut after don't call her, calling her, the outgoing message is, hey, you've reached me. Steve doesn't live here anymore.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's very much just letting you know. And he seems to be holding on to this relationship. As we go through the movie, they both seem to be more accepting that they're on a break. But in the beginning, she seems to be done, and he's like, we're on a break.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, she's got one foot out the door, and he's doing the regular guy thing. Oh, we're just on a break. And he does mention later on, we'll get to it. I don't even want to spoil it. She's on much more of a break than he is.
Yeah, we're going through this a bit chronologically at this point as we dissect this movie, talked about what it could be, and now what it is. As Matthew Broderick, he's got very little furnished apartment, waiting for the cable guy to come. Finally comes when he's in the shower, and that was always a go-to gag of a 90s sitcom of waiting for the cable guy. Why do you say you'll be here within this 8-hour range? Why? Really, it actually is logical, because I don't know how long the last job's going to take.
Matthew Broderick says, oh, he's supposed to be here somewhere between 8 a.m. and my death. And that's like, that's a good line. And it's perfectly timed. It almost sets up like Jim Carrey's already stalking this guy, because as soon as Matthew Broderick gets the shampoo in his hair, that's when Jim Carrey starts banging on the door. Cable guy, and starts yelling at him. He's like, oh, fucking great. He's covered in shampoo and soap. And then he's like trying to dry off and rinse off and get to the door. And the cable guy is
absolutely been stalking him already, because he's got this list, and he walks in. Broke up with your girl, huh? He's looked into this guy. He saw who he was coming to install for, and saw, oh, your last account was transferred to a lady's name, so you just broke up. He's able to put together these pieces from the information that he has, and coming off a little creepy, but I do love this reaction that I've pulled up here after he gets done installing the cable, and Matthew Broderick, just like anyone, well, bye, see you later. And oh, wait a minute. And Jim Carrey, this look of hope. Wait a minute. Yeah. We're going to hang out? This lonely man who's got this little glimmer of hope that he's got a friend. But no, Jack Black just said, hey, if I tip you $50, can I get the premium channels for free? And he plays along a little bit. You're talking about bribery. Bribery is illegal. Having these extra channels, that costs money. That what you're asking me to do is a crime. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, no, yeah. He gets right up in his face He's like, you're offering me a bribe. And in this state, that is illegal. And if convicted, you could be sentenced up to $5,000 or spend 6 months in a correctional facility. Like he stumbles over the word facility. And that's the second time he like starts fucking with Matthew Broderick really hard. Because when Matthew Broderick opens the door, he's like, wait. And then Jim Carrey does that thing in the hallway that he does right here. He turns around. Well, look who decided to show. And it's like, well, you were supposed to be here.
Off. He yells at the top of his lungs.
All the way down the hallway.
I'm the one who's tardy, huh? Because it took a while for him to answer the door while he was in the shower. I'm the one who's tardy, huh? I'm the jerk. And a baby starts crying in one of the neighbors' apartments after he yells out, jerk off.
And he's like giving him a look too, you know, and Matthew Broderick's standing like, what the fuck? And then he does that. He's just like, I'm just fucking with you. And that's like, I can't see Chris Farley doing something that's sadistic that way and pulling it off and believable. You believe Jim Carrey's a fucking nutcase.
And with all the revisions that the script took, we don't know what was and what was not included in that Chris Farley intended script. One thing I do know, Jim Carrey brought Medieval Times to the table. Apparently it was just written as a restaurant until Jim Carrey brought the big set piece of Medieval Times to the conversation. And well, before we jump too far ahead, Jim Carrey, Chip Douglas, as he introduces himself. My name is Ernie Douglas, but my friends call me Chip. So Chip Douglas does take him up to the satellites. That's what he really wants to show him, is the satellite. And this is a foreshadowing to the end, which Husey doesn't like. We'll get to our opinions of that. Husey, not a fan of the ending, but this big set piece of this satellite. This was one clip that I was very disappointed. It got the copyright notification for me because Chip Douglas is very prophetic in here. Soon our phones, our TV, our computer are all going to be one. And he goes over several things we're going to do. The last thing he says is play Mortal Kombat with our friend in Vietnam. That one made me giggle because, yes, right now there is a new Mortal Kombat you can play with your friend in Vietnam.
It's remarkably accurate. He goes, soon your phone, television, and computer will be integrated. You could shop at home and play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. They take a trip on the information superhighway, which is an old internet phrase. I'm sure anybody under the age of 25 probably has never heard that word.
I remember that from the AOL commercials. You'd get your free minutes of America Online disc in the mail, and the information superhighway. Yeah, I definitely remember that. That took me back. So yeah, they're starting up this buddy relationship. Chip takes Steve out to the satellite and sets up. Oh, actually, I do want to get off on a little side tangent about setting up this ending here, not having to do with the cable guy, but rather Dexter Newblood. When Dexter decides to start killing again, and he doesn't know what to do with the body, and then just at some point, I'll put it over here. It wasn't set up at any point ever in the episode. Just after he killed, he's driving around town with the body in his trunk. I'll put it over here, and that's his new method for when he kills people. In this Dexter Newblood season is, I'll put him here. And it just was never, ever set up thank you for at least setting up this ending with this special shot here.
Real quick about that satellite and tower was built specifically for this movie. A lot of budget went into building this for the end scene. And because they call it the swan dive on the back of the thing, but the stuntman that does that, there's like it's a good shot. Like he falls off of that tower free of everything. I don't know what the hell he landed on. But yeah,
I know the crash pad. But yeah, they have the standard falling from a great distance. I don't even think it's called a crash pad at that point. Like a crash pad is just for like falling down. Yeah, Hollywood developed a special thing. So knowing too much as I do, I know exactly what he fell on at that great distance.
And Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick have a really good bonding moment. Like Jim Carrey pretty much tricks him into going out. He's like, okay, I'll pick you up at 6. And like, he just runs away before Matthew Broderick can say no. Then they wind up here and he's like,
oh, that's right. And he just honks his horn. Matthew Broderick,
Stevie,
our buddy
time to
Steve,
leave.
is just hanging out at his home. Honk, honk. Yeah, he's yelling up. You're right. He gives him no choice to once he's got him kind of confirmed. All right, see you tomorrow. Because he's like, Steve, Matthew Broderick, like, no, I can't tomorrow. Oh, what are you doing? You're sulking over your ex-girlfriend. You can't come out. And
that pushes a
little
button.
bit of opening.
Yeah,
we're doing it. Pick you up at 6.
And there's a good bonding scene at the end because Jim Carrey's like telling him about how his parents weren't really there. And then Matthew Broderick says, yeah, my dad was there, but he may as well have not have been. And
a projection, a lot of projection is too. It sounds like you have abandonment issues.
Yeah. And then he goes, he's like, reality isn't father's knows best anymore. It's a kick in the face with a steel toe Kodiak work boot and a trip to the hospital for some reconstructive surgery. But what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And Matthew Broderick he keeps side-eyeing Jim Carrey through this whole movie. Like, what the fuck is going on here? But then he makes it kind of normal again.
When he does open up to Chip Douglas and says, I made a marriage proposal and I was moving too fast for her. And then he gives some words of wisdom back to Steve. Wow, that's really insightful. It was Jerry Springer's final thought on Friday.
Yeah, it was great. Women are a labyrinth, my friend.
No, I wish I had the
complicated
clip.
Complicated splendor that is woman. I know he says that too. And then Matthew Broderick goes to repeat it to her the next day at a lunch date. And she buys it, hook, line, and sinker. And he also says, Jim Carrey gives him advice about watching Sleepless in Seattle.
Which I don't know if I got that from this movie or if I kind of already knew that cliche of Sleepless in Seattle being the chick flick, the go-to chick flick.
Robin loves that movie. They all do. They all do. And so like things are starting to work out a little bit with Robin and Steve. And Jim Carrey's doing his damnedest to find any avenue into hanging out with his new friend by coincidentally showing up at a basketball court later on.
Oh, and this is actually one of the clips that made it through. We got a little bit of fan service at the basketball game. Yeah, I believe he just shows up because they've got.
You guys play here too?
Yeah, that's what it is. One of the team members cramps up, pull something. So Jim Carrey's so obsessed with his new buddy Steve, he won't even be on the opposite team,
right?
Which is who he was going to be replacing. Yeah, fuck it, I'll switch teams. Let's just go. Hold on, I've got to warm up. So
this made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, it's just a little simple running back and forward, but a little bit of fan service. What the people came for of Jim Carrey physical humor of running back and forth on this court in a silly manner. All right, I'm ready to go. And yeah, I do have an actual clip of the basketball game. One of the few non-copyright claims.
That's a travel.
Once they get started, there's a simple rule that's been violated. A simple travel between buddies. Fuck it. It's simple travel. Doesn't matter.
That was a trouble. You said Chip. Oh, I see. We're playing prison rules, huh?
Dude, and it
I
takes
had to
a
cut
turn.
out great music here. They did have
break
a
that
great
pick.
soundtrack.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That right there. That's like he's giving Jim Carrey that look the whole movie.
What the fuck is going on? Jim Carrey just doesn't know how to socialize and be friends. That's why he's stalking Matthew Broderick to have a friend. We're going immediately to prison rules. We are getting rough with everyone. I'm just going to be a brick wall and drop you, since if traveling is legal, then fucking dropping you is legal. And yeah, Matthew Broderick looks throughout this movie of what the fuck, trying to be the nice guy, but flipped the fuck out by the actions of Chip Douglas.
It's a complete 180. He was like, okay, we'll play. And then that it starts with that pick, and then some guy's dribbling. I don't know if you got the whole clip, but he's got his arms. He's reaching in. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, he's like slapping the guy's arms and shit.
By prison rules, I'm going to start feeling you up. Thanks for joining, David Collins. This would have been a horror movie thriller if we would have got the original cut. But yeah, it's little bits here and there of the horror elements that still remain, and yeah, the basketball scene showing your David Collins cosplay. Got to get yourself a black pipe behind you so you can complete the look.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. The heater from Mr. Collins.
While we're getting off of what we were talking about, as Husey mentioned a little earlier, both of Tenacious D is in here. I did mention Jack Black. He's got some speaking roles and a non-speaking role for Kyle Gass
at the very end,
who just opens up a book at the end. Both members of Mr. Show. We have David Cross as a work buddy who's at that point was just balding, wasn't?
Yeah, it was bald. He looked like he belonged in that office at that point. Yeah, he was very young too. You can tell him. Bob Odenkirk shows up.
Bob Odenkirk, he apparently got all his lines cut except for "What the hell is wrong with you?"
He's sitting there holding his wife, and he's got this sour look. He's so mad. And Andy Dick is also in this movie.
An absolute. Andy Dick, one of the leaders of the Knights in medieval times, with Janine Garofalo as the waitress of. I love that gag where they're medieval times. We didn't have forks and spoons, so no, I can't give you utensils. But they had Pepsi, and she's just rolling her eyes. Come on, dude.
Dude, I got a lot of tables.
So that was the first. The basketball scene was the first time that we get Chip trying to buddy up and just failing very much. I think that's the first time that Matthew Broderick attempts to break up with him, and he's watching Sleepless in Seattle with Leslie Mann with his girlfriend, and the cable goes out.
Yes, dramatically. The cable go like on perfect timing. Matthew Broderick gets home from the basketball game, and he has 11.
You got too many devices going. You froze up on me. So once the cable goes out,
of course it happens to me.
Yeah, all right, you're back. Once the cable goes out, the cable guy is a friend of mine, but he told him off after the basketball game. It's your friend who cut the cable.
In between that, when Matthew Broderick gets home, there's 11 messages on his answering machine. The first one's from his dad telling him to call his mother, but the next 10 are Jim Carrey calling.
Yeah, once again, getting him very flipped out of this stalkery type of behavior. As you froze up on me, I think you're back. Whatever device you got going on likes to interfere with your internet there. So
I don't know what it is. I gotta find out. I shut everything off. God damn it!
You're gonna have to shut it off like Chip Douglas shut off the cable here, and he just flips a switch and turns it back on. What was the cut wire? Dramatic effect.
He throws it in the corner.
But he was absolutely, like, I don't think the page went through. Like, the second that Matthew Broderick has finished dialing his pager number, a knock on the door. The phone is still in his hand. He's looking at the phone, looking at the door. What the?
Yeah, he didn't even hit. It didn't ring, and he was already knocking.
Oh, he does have the camera in there. That's right. We've got he does have the camera in there.
We know that.
We find out later. He's recording the date between Steve and his ex here, and that will come back to bite Steve in the ass, as he was bitching about work during this date.
Hair plugs. It's so
hair
good.
Plugs. Another one of those. I was just very disappointed. I wasn't able to get past the copyright. The remix of hair plugs. Might as well jump into that one since we're talking about the video. Jumping around a little bit chronologically, when Jim Carrey goes full psycho on Matthew Broderick, he decides he's going to get him fired, and he blasts this video of him bitching about his boss and how he has no vision. Corporate needs to remove him, and his horrible hair plugs.
And Jim Carrey does a number on him. But yeah, that's a good shot that you got there. And again, it's a foreshadowing. Like, we see it in black and white, but if you were to do it today, it would just be somebody's phone set on the table recording, or anything sitting anywhere, or your own home security being used against you, like a ring light or something.
Yeah, we would have it in 720p at the very least.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, at this time, a little bit grainy, black and white. So that was when he went full psycho on him. And as I mentioned earlier, we didn't get enough of that, but that was the studio course correcting. There was definitely more shot of that psycho. But that was the hard breakup. There were a few soft breakups. Actually, it was back to the date night scene. Jim Carrey was living vicariously through Matthew Broderick at that point, as he's watching Sleepless in Seattle on his portable TV as they're watching Sleepless in Seattle. And we don't see him watching them, but as we know, he's recording them, so he's probably watching both at the same time, and get this little flashback of him being raised by the television.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's in a cable guy van outside. It's basically a surveillance van. And while Steven and Robin are up in the apartment having a romantic night, he's down in the van watching the movie and watching them on a monitor separate, I'm sure.
Yeah,
before
once
it cuts
we know
to
that
this
he's
flashback.
recording them, we can go back and be like, oh, he was watching them both.
And Jim Carrey used the cable outage to squeeze the medieval times date that he gets with Matthew Broderick.
That was one of the things of all throughout that he's trying to break up with him again. But before we get to this, I want to point out that's actually Kathy Griffin in the background. Another.
That's right.
It wasn't until the credits rolled that I realized it was Kathy Griffin. It definitely wasn't her voice. I could just tell by the dialogue being said and the movement of her mouth that wasn't her. But she's going out to get laid.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said I was going to have a brother to play with. That's why Mommy's going to the bar.
That's why Mama's going out for ladies' night.
Yeah, Mama, she's not attentive. But luckily, My Three Sons is on. I believe he turned it over to, I was going to say a Burt Reynolds movie. It was
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, that's what it was. He turned it over to a Clint Eastwood movie, and that was his babysitter. And
yes. The mom refers to the television as the babysitter.
She does, yes.
So, she says, sit with the babysitter and Mom will be back later.
And that's all we got of the flashback, but very revealing in a quick little flashback scene. And as we were starting to get on the medieval times scene, where just over and over again, Matthew Broderick is trying to have this breakup conversation, and it just keeps getting cut off. Maybe Chip Douglas even realizes
I was going to say
and
that.
that's
I think
why
he knows. He knows. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going towards the same point that he knows, and that's why he's going to keep interrupting and moving this forward and pretending like nothing is the matter, as you've seen on sitcoms. If you don't get to say it, then it's not real.
Exactly, and he plays by those rules, definitely.
He lives out what he's seen on television a few times, including, as you said, the cable outage. Andy Dick and the other knights, they did a favor for him of a battle between two audience members to settle a feud, to settle a disagreement. Does this happen regularly? No, they're just all preferred customers.
That's right. He offers preferred customers. He gives them the pager number and says, "Don't call the company; they'll just put you on hold." It's such a great little lines like that
and also
kind of keep you chuckling throughout the movie. You know.
Also, a little foreshadowing of what's revealed later. You call the cable company, they're going to say, "Who the fuck are you talking about?"
Exactly.
Who is this person? So actually, there's, as you think about it, there's actually another layer of Jim Carrey taking out the real cable guy in some fashion.
Exactly. Right.
Might as well get into this now. Jack Black finds out he doesn't work for the cable company.
Right. And there's more names that he was working under other than Chip Douglas.
Larry Tate, George Jetson.
The big ragu. About the medieval time scene, Matthew Broderick, you'll see he starts genuinely laughing because the chicken skin on the face bit that Jim Carrey was doing is like, "Give me your skin," and he puts all the chicken skin on his face and then does the line from
I don't think he does the line.
Silence of the Lambs.
Out, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, and he says, "Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again." And Matthew Broderick is laughing genuinely because that's all improvised. Like Jim Carrey was just being a dick. Well, not dick, but he's just being a goof on set.
Himself. That was
that made it in the movie.
Sound, that was the most annoying sound in the world. It was a complete improvisation. You can see Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber when he says, "You want to hear the most interesting sound in the world." He's kind of like, what the fuck? And just goes along with the
that's a good one too. That's such a good movie.
But yeah, he's very good at improvisation, and the studio was very happy of some of his improvisation like that, so they could attempt to soften this movie into, and they were not able to soften this movie into what they wanted. They were just able to make it less effective as to what they were doing. So this big duel, it just like in Star Trek, Spock versus Kirk. If we do not fight to the death, they will kill us both.
Yeah, he does the monologue for Leonard Nimoy, and they play the music in the background too.
Jim Carrey is mouthing it himself, and yeah, they licensed it for this movie. They have the actual
yeah, and he's and then he like runs up on it. Matthew Broderick is pissing his pants because he doesn't know what's going on.
And these are real fucking weapons. It's a real mace that he's running around chasing them with. That
was in the trailer. That was one of the bits I remember them showing specifically to market this movie. It's like, and the line is "Come back so I may brain thee," like because he's going to hit him with the mace. And I remember that cut specifically in the trailer. And what's the other one? Oh, Billy, when he puts his nipple up on that was always in the trailer. And I think those are the two scenes that misled people, along with the one cut scene of him hanging off the front of Matthew Broderick's car.
And the damn Ren and Stimpy music that they were playing underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right here, we have at the point where he's doing the...
Look at him. He's yelling in his face. How can you not be scared of this guy?
He almost cuts his stomach. Like he's wielding a real blade that he cuts the faux armor of. and Matthew Broderick does win the duel. And at that point, Jim Carrey is apparently their feud has been settled. They fought it out. We fought like brothers. You won the duel, and we're friends again. We got it all out.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick gets him on the joust. I think Jim Carrey pretty much kicks his ass here.
Every other part except for that ending joust.
But
Matthew Broderick's running away because that's what
he's not
a real person would be doing.
Yes, exactly. Especially if somebody's chasing you with a weapon. Is it shill segment time? Because I was going to say, when we're jiffing around, I have a gif of Jim Carrey, and he does this thing where he's whipping what he's holding. It's got that half moon blade on the other end, and he strikes a damn pose, man. And he looks up at it like he couldn't believe that he just did what he did. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I wish that that would have passed the copyright. The way he's moving that around, because he's very clumsy just with a basketball. It says in the trivia bits that Jim Carrey could barely dribble the fucking basketball in that basketball scene. So him actually moving that blade around and being able to do something that looks cool with it. Oh,
yeah, he had a nice flourish. Yeah, it was a nice flourish. I was really impressed. But then he comes out full on. He has like a horned that they change his helmet. It has the plumes and horns. And then Andy Dick says to Matthew Broderick, he's like, come on, buddy, get on the freaking horse. This guy ain't joking around. And then Matthew Broderick, it goes through that silly gag. This is our destiny. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. Isn't. Is it? And then Matthew Broderick just nails him and gets off the horse and still goes to checks to see if he's okay. Matthew Broderick plays a real sweetheart in this movie.
Yeah, once again, at the end of being both frightened of Chip Douglas and concerned for his safety once we get there. But yeah, we are about at the halfway point. Does sound like an all right time for a little bit of a shill segment. And then we'll get into the present that Chip Douglas brought him in the karaoke scene. But just want to give a thanks to those joining us and in the chat. And if you give a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, you'll know when I go live, which is usually Tuesday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm off this week. Me and Annie will be going to Tampa to WATP Live. Any beloved chatters there? Love to chat with you. But if you comment after this video is done, that helps the algorithm as well. Big thanks to Hackride for giving me a few tips on how to help the algorithm be more kind to me last night. And there's my email. If you would like to be on Chatting with Beloved Chatters, any random creative needs, script doctoring, basic editing, not complicated editing, but basic editing, and organization. Oh boy, have I helped the hoarding over at work. Dillon@somewhere@gmail.com. DILLON. Thank you for joining, and thanks for sticking with us through that little bit of a shill segment. You were mentioning a gift. Were you able to bring that up while I was fucking around there?
Oh, the GIF? Do you want me to grab it? I can look for it. Oops, maybe not.
We'll work on that.
I'll grab it.
Finding your way around, you're still finding your way around StreamYard. Oh, actually, this scene is after the karaoke scene. Jim Carrey thanks Matthew Broderick. I think I left a piece of equipment in there. All this high-dollar television, speakers, karaoke machine, and I can't accept this. You got to get it out of here. Well, we got to break it in first. So they have a karaoke party, and half of this karaoke party did pass the copyright. So I will start playing this. One of the things I really loved about this, Jim Carrey's nice friends, they got so many goofy looking people. This old guy in particular, I think
he's great. He was great.
Knocking it out of the park with what he was doing. I think they placed him a few extra times when they saw what he was doing.
He was doing. I swear to you, I love it when an extra does that, because this is a movie I've seen 100 times, and Jim Carrey kicks that door open, and he's on the one side, And
that's the part that got the strike. So I'll just have to pause it. And
the
do
old
that
guy's like, he's got his tongue hanging out. He's like, and Jim Carrey goes, "We should leave these lovebirds alone." He's like, "Yeah," like he's like, he's into it. This guy is into it. And probably my favorite extra of all time.
He is definitely up there. He definitely got placed a few extra times because he was just doing it great. And that was actually me as well. I would do shit similar to that old guy, like the pilot that no one will ever see from TBS. Oh, the entire crew knew that pilot. But I was Hack Ride loves when I say this. He loves grabbing the solo. When I was dancing at the gay bar, and they saw what I was doing, and they kept putting me in different places in the gay bar over and over again because I just went to 11 with my dancing.
Nice.
And it wasn't just the people on the production; it was someone over on the other side that was like, "Oh my god, I loved what you were doing. I really wanted to come over and dance with you, but I knew I couldn't. They placed me over there. I just want to tell you, I loved what you were doing." So that's how I learned that I could dance all right. And being trained in theater, I often went too far. And that old guy was. He couldn't have gone too far is the thing. I don't think they ever told him to reel it back in because everything he was doing was just fucking great. But that is something like on another production they'd have to maybe that's why we didn't see him too often anywhere else, is because he just went so fucking far.
Yeah, no, I liked him. And everybody in that party is completely eccentric. The knights are on the couch, they're fucking jamming out. Everybody. Oh, and that cop. I did not catch his name.
This guy, the cop, I have seen several different places. Actually, I think that's the cop from Silence of the Lambs, now that I think of it.
Is it?
I think it is.
Because I know his voice from somewhere.
Yeah, this is one of those, that guy, this cop here. And now that I think of it, I think that's one of the cops that Hannibal Lecter got when he had the face over his face. That I'm just putting that together now. I'm almost, I'm pretty damn sure about that. Oh yeah, there it is. There's the GIF that you were able to get up,
and he looks up like right there. Yeah, that was the one. I had to go to Tenor to find it. I couldn't get it from Discord. But yeah, that's great, man. Like right there, boom, and then he's like, "Oh shit, did I do that? All right."
Fuck yeah, I did that. Nice.
Oh, my bad. I X'd it out.
All good.
Where were we chronologically?
We were talking about the karaoke party, and I actually have some video. Yeah, I actually have the a little bit of video with perfect. The one average regular looking person. We'll see you right here.
Yeah, they're just preferred customers.
That guy, this dude.
Everyone is a preferred customer. Jim Carrey doesn't have friends. He's trying to turn these preferred customers into friends.
Yeah,
there's some opening that he saw with Matthew Broderick that he didn't see with anyone else.
Chickler, 2 o'clock. What a licorice. And all the joy.
There you are.
Yeah, here they are grooving. This also didn't hit the copyright alarm. Sapphire confirming for me that was the cop from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I couldn't quite place him, and I've definitely seen him a few times. But yeah, as we were talking, I was like, that was the Silence of the Lambs cop,
Wilson.
And he's got that cop look. So he's been a cop quite a few many times. Glad you could join us, Sir Vosif. And I watched this movie once. Honestly, this was the second time I watched this movie. As we take a look at the extras and party goers.
There he is. That old guy's doing it, man.
Yeah, it was just so quick of him getting at it in that scene, but he's doing it so well. And I've got to be careful. It was somewhere around here where the copyright alarm started going off. Yeah, just everyone was so silly and eccentric looking at this party, except for the one lady that Jim Carrey points out. This guy kind of looks like Grandpa Munster without his without his makeup.
Got the nose, yeah.
And then this scene definitely was the one they were like, "Hey, buddy, you can't be showing that, so let me just click through this." As Jim Carrey gets a photo, she wanted to talk. I can't hear you. Can we talk? Immediately starts giving him a massage, which turns into kissing. And there's our good buddy.
He's great, dude. I don't know why it's so good.
I wish we knew that guy's name. I want to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, there you go. He's
going
doing
to
it,
11. Man. Let's leave these lovebirds alone.
Dude, he's like, all right. He's like, yeah, like he's into it. He's like, these guys are about to fuck. And Jim Carrey's well dressed throughout this whole movie. He's always got these like vintage jackets, and I'm so jealous of these big, huge collared, like butterfly collar jackets.
I need to lose a little bit of weight to wear my best vintage jacket. I've got a corduroy suit that I actually found in pieces at the Goodwill across from CBS Television City. Found the jacket once and then found the pants later. Like, oh my God, you got lost. You fit. Yay, you both fit. And now I'm too damn tubby for I need to get myself down 2 pant sizes and a jacket size to throw those back on. So everything seems great after that party. And
the morning after.
Since I don't have a clip, let's just stay on our good buddy, that old man there. I want more of that old man. So yeah, everything seems great. Matthew Broderick is so happy he got laid. That's just what he needed. And she's gone, but Jim Carrey stayed the night. Jim Carrey's making breakfast.
He borrowed his hoodie. He's wearing Matthew Broderick's Ohio State hoodie.
That's right. It's as if he was her. He had to put something on real quick after the screwing around. But she's gone, and can't wait to see her again. Oh well, you know, I bought this one. You buy the next one.
Oh no, wait. He got him first with, "Oh, it's my treat," and then Matthew Broderick stops right there. He's like, he was eating breakfast. He's like, "I made eggs." Jim Carrey's cooking breakfast and shit, and he's like, "Oh, my treat." And Matthew Broderick goes, "What do you mean your treat?" And he's like, "You know, I buy this time, you buy next time." And then you hear the silver or that you hear him just drop the fork on the plate. He's like, "You're fucking with me, right?" Like he can't believe that he just slept with a prostitute. That's how straight-laced this character is supposed to be. And then Jim Carrey goes on to tell him, "Oh, don't worry, dude. I checked her out about a week ago. I'm healthy as a horse. Not a drip."
We are now Eskimo brothers. Yeah. I thought Isaac Walmart was talking about the hooker being creepy. He's talking about wearing the hoodie and cooking breakfast being the creepy part.
That's and that's another one of those weird things that you just kind of like. If it happened to you, you would be like, all right. But as it starts to add up throughout the movie, you're like, this is getting fucking weird, man.
Yeah, I actually didn't put myself in that mindset at that point of like, you wore your own clothes here. Why not? Sure, take off the jacket, but what the fuck?
Why did you need to change the shirt?
Until you mentioned that, Isaac, I didn't put myself in that place of like, you had clothes. Your clothes are a day old, but what the fuck? Why am I a hoodie? So I think this was what really triggered Jim Carrey to go all out against him. I just wanted to be your friend. I do. No,
I can fix this, Steven.
Yes, I do have another clip.
Oh, right before because he kicks him out of the door. He's like, "Get out of my house!" Like Matthew Broderick loses it, and he's pushing him out the door, literally with a frying pan and egg. He's like, "Are you kidding? We had a party. I made breakfast. We were having just scrambled eggs." And he's like, "Go!" And he slams the door. I was like, "Steven, I can fix this. I can fix it." You know, like he was, and oh shit.
The hooker?
I was going. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like he was upset about the hooker and kicks him out, and then Matthew Broderick goes back to work. And I think we skip the date that Matthew Broderick's girlfriend goes out on? Or was that after?
I think that happens after this.
Because this, I know
forget
this scene
where it
happens
is
more
in my
towards the
notes.
end.
But yeah, it's after either the soft breakup or the hard breakup friend breakup, that is. The soft or hard breakup of the friends of Chip and Steve, that we see Robin going out on a date with Owen Wilson, and he's an asshole throughout the date. He's a dick. He would not have won her over as much of an obnoxious creep as he's being. But Chip Douglas is going to do his buddy a favor. It might have been after this. I'd have to scan my notes a little bit.
I'm pretty sure it was the party, and then he kicks him out.
Yeah, you're
right.
And
then he's like, I'll fix it, and I'll get Robin back for you.
Yeah, that's it. You're right. This happens right after the party is how he's going to fix it. Don't worry, Robin won't find out and be upset. I'm going to fix this by kicking an odd assault in a bathroom.
It's one of the best scenes ever for me. I think it's great.
Yeah, there's a bathroom attendant who he gives a $20 to. Take a break. You've been working hard, and he starts impersonating.
And snatches the. Yeah. He's the bathroom attendant.
So once Owen Wilson comes in there, he's being overly attentive to him, to where Owen Wilson goes from the urinal to a stall, and Jim Carrey popping up in the stall is a very funny visual, because it looks like one of those stalls that goes like almost to the floor. It looks like a fancy one, like it might be a full door that he really had to work to get under there, and very cartoonishly pops up behind
Owen
him.
Wilson's here, and yeah, he does. He right up behind him. It's like anything at all. Owen Wilson is being an asshole during this date. He's like, "Oh, so my friend tells me you're on a break. What's that like? You're in a holding pattern? Well, maybe you need to come down and refuel." And he's telling all these stupid hacky lines, and then he starts harassing the waitress or the waiter. He's like, "Hey, man, what's the story with my chicken? Have the eggs had a chance to hatch yet? Why don't you go check on that for me, my friend?" And then he comes back to her and he's like, "So what do you do for work?" And she starts explaining. He's like, "Hold that thought. I got to take a piss." And gets up in the middle of her talking.
I got to go to the head.
Yeah. Hit the head. Okay. That's what he says.
For some reason, that exact wording stuck with me. It's not as crude as take a piss as.
But it is, though. Right. Almost.
Hit the head is still just
it's rude.
A rude. So this bathroom assault just very silly as he's plucking his eyebrows so he looks good for his date. He has some powder to smack him with.
Two songs for this fight scene. Jim Carrey walks in the restaurant with these ridiculous glasses on, and Pusher Man from the Superfly soundtrack is playing. So he's walking in looking fly as shit. And he does this to Owen Wilson so he doesn't see the face. And then when he's kicking his ass in the bathroom, it switches to Dizzy Gillespie Salt Peanuts. And he puts his mouth over the hand dryer.
Yeah,
and Owen Wilson's cheeks are getting blown out, and he's
very
like
Dizzy Gillespie-esque.
It just is like splashing aftershave and shit all in his face.
And that's how he's fixing what he did, messing up with Steve, is by kicking her date's ass when he was doing just a perfect job of driving her back to Steve's arms.
Oh yeah, and there was nothing necessary needed to happen here. Like, she would have never continued to go out with that guy. You saw it on her face because she had the reactions right. She was, ugh. And
then now that I found myself in my notes, there's more that he's doing. He gives Robin a free cable upgrade. You must have a secret admirer. So he's
she didn't want to open the door at first. Because I didn't order that.
It's kind of like Land Shark to me. Free cable upgrade, pizza. For those that are our age and older that remember Chevy Chase's Land Shark sketches.
Those are great, man, because you knew what was going to happen, and you still laugh every single time. He opens the door and there's a shark.
So yeah, that's where he introduces himself to Robin and gives her an unsolicited cable upgrade. He's now done two things, and when she calls up Steve, oh, thank you, you're so great. He doesn't deny it. He just plays right into it. He doesn't get creeped out. He's so desperate to get back with Robin. He doesn't add this onto the creepy pile of everything Chip Douglas is doing to him.
Right.
He's just like, oh, all right, this will get back in her good graces. But as much as he does enjoy having that, that doesn't win him back to the friendship, which was I'm glad you brought us back to that. I was about to skip over that. Does bring us back to where he's confronting Chip Douglas is confronting Steve to be like, all right, I did all these things. We're friends again.
Quick before you play the clip.
Yes.
Robin calls him at work, and he's at work. And he, like you said, he's like, oh yeah, because I wanted to. And then she goes, free cable, and he's all happy about it. And then as he's walking out, Jack Black shows up with his Soundgarden shirt on. He's like, are you ready to rock? Like they're supposed to go to a concert.
That's right. He stands
and Matthew Broderick blows off Jack Black again. There's a bit of a rivalry we kind of missed where Jim Carrey is like trying to push Jack Black's character away from Matthew Broderick.
That's right.
He's
they
like,
do a bit of
Steven's a new man, and you're going to get burned by the molten lava.
Yeah, the karaoke party. Jack Black is just very standoffish. It's a great party. Aren't you glad I invited you? Steve invited me. Like Jack Black knows something is amiss. Well, after the basketball game.
Yeah.
We actually missed the finale of the basketball game where Jim Carrey uses walks on someone's back to
Jack Black. He steps on Jack Black's back.
Okay, it is indeed Jack Black.
Yeah, and he does the two-handed gorilla dunk. Yeah.
It breaks the glass on the basketball rim. So I guess we're done. Yeah. And that was Jack Black's introduction to him. And yeah, at the party, continuing that rivalry and now being stood up for this concert. And we haven't gotten into the grunge music too much. These were some grunge all-stars that they got in the cable guy. And in the YouTube video that I mentioned earlier from Media Pastimes, they mentioned that this movie came out about 2 months after grunge died, just a little too late to get in on the hottest sound in the world for several years.
Oh yeah, it sucks. Jerry Cantrell made his first solo debut on this soundtrack with "Leave Me Alone," and that was supposed to be the song that got pushed with the movie, but instead, the Primitive Radio God song, "Standing Outside a Phone Booth with Money in My Hand," picked up. That song was like a Billboard #1 for a week or two. And okay, that became like the song that got attributed with this movie, and not the Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains grungy song.
I actually recognized that Primitive Radio Gods song, and I actually didn't realize that it was this movie it was attached to first.
I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100%. The Jerry Cantrell track was attached to that's specific for this. There's the Cypress Hill track, "Last Assassin." That's a really good song. "Filter" was during the basketball scene. "Hey Man, Nice Shot."
And we had a White Zombie song.
Did not make the CD soundtrack. It's in the movie, but it's not on the CD soundtrack.
Okay, I think it was more human than human. Yep. Like the White Zombie really takes me back to the mid '90s.
And
ECW wrestling as well. I really love like Rob Zombie's solo. He's still got that similar sound, but White Zombie, just something about them very much puts me.
Yeah, Astro Creep is a great fucking album, dude. You can play that front to back and have a good time.
So that's a little bit about the music in the movie. That once again, if it had been released, filmed with Chris Farley in 95 and released in 96 rather than, I believe, filmed in 96 and released in 97 would have been timely, the soundtrack. But the public done moved on the same way they moved on from hair metal years before when grunge hit.
And that's exactly what happened. It's like it tapered off, and the rap rock, Limp Bizkit, Korn, Marilyn Manson, Family Values stuff started to pick up
Rap
more
rock,
in that.
metal. We'll have to go on. We'll have to really deep dive. I really loved new metal for a little while, and yeah, the rap rock was the big thing before new metal was the big thing. I just think of a Brian Posehn bit where he talks about, yeah, people say I'm just like my dog, and they're right. My dog is chubby and hates new metal.
He does some great metal jokes too. I remember he was telling a story. Brian Posehn was telling a story about meeting the lead singer from Wasp, and he's like a 15-year-old dorky kid, and he's all excited and he wants to get his autograph. And so he asked the guy, and the guy turns around and says, "Grow some tits." So that was like his first experience of meeting a metal guy, and as an adult, you understand, like, yeah, you don't want 15-year-old dudes coming up to you and like, "Hey, dude, you're awesome." I mean, it's nice because they're your fans.
Brian Posehn did grow a nice set of tits.
Yes, he did. And he was another one. I think he showed up around with David Cross and
Mr. Show. Brian Posehn was a regular on Mr. Show as well. Not in this movie, but we did get off on a little bit of Brian Posehn talk here.
Yeah, tangent.
Remember that my last special where I said you could punch my baby? Please don't punch my baby. Love that Posehn joke. But a little sidetrack, we got off on there. Getting back to the breakup scene,
right?
As you said, Jack Black was just blown off, but here Jim Carrey is getting blown off too, because this Robin thing, it looks like it's going to happen because of Jim Carrey helping him push it along the way. He accepted those gifts foisted upon them. But yeah, just gonna blow him off right here.
You're a very nice guy, but I just don't have any room in my life for a new friend. Okay?
So, what are you trying to say?
That face there, the conversation that he was trying to force not to happen at medieval times, he realizes that it's happening right now, and there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, it's face to face.
What are you trying to say? I don't want to be your friend.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
The devastation that he's communicating here.
I'm a big boy. It's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Whatever.
That. Whatever.
And of course, it's not whatever, because as soon as he's done talking to him, he reports Matthew Broderick to the police for all the stolen goods that he's accepted. That big screen TV, sound equipment, and karaoke machine. So he goes to
cream
jail.
In his pants, cream in his pants. Like there's like that because he's like when Matthew Broderick's realizing he accepted all that entertainment center.
The same cop who was there at the party arresting him, the same cop who got his face eaten off in Silence of the Lambs, arresting him for those stolen goods. And yeah, we get the little audio playback. Hey, wait a minute, karaoke.
Deluxe karaoke.
So he goes to jail.
And THX. Wait. THX Dolby Surround that'll make George Lucas cream in his pants. That's.
I was not going to remember that quote at all.
I'm telling you, I've seen this movie like a bajillion times. It's probably my favorite movie next to Office Space, which is also probably a mild successful failure on its own too.
Yeah, that was a failure upon release, and eventually became a success. Oh, I got onto that early. I was quoting that in high school, and no one knew what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah, you can't mention TPS to anybody anymore.
What the fuck does that mean?
PC load letter.
I said that exact thing last night. I was having trouble with a printer at work. PC load letter. What the fuck does that mean?
Did
Luckily,
Dave
I was
Herman
able to just reroute it to another printer. I still didn't figure out what the PC load letter was. Good luck, morning shift.
We're going to get on another tangent. I got to be careful. Okay, yeah, this is where the turn happens because he officially broke up. Yes, the turn. The cop comes in while Matthew Broderick is in a meeting. He did a proposal earlier in the movie. It got approved, and so now they're about to move in to starting the big real estate build,
the big project.
And the cops burst in and arrest him and embarrass the shit out of him for receiving stolen property.
And then in the jail, lawyer Jim Carrey embarrasses him more, as you mentioned, Billy.
And that's from another movie, and I can't remember which one. I want to say
it was from Midnight Express. I haven't seen Midnight Express. I'm much more familiar with the wrestling tag team than I am the movie Midnight Express. So
Jim Corney.
I've just got to take his word for it. And I don't know if there was some titties there. Some actual lady boobies in Midnight Express up against the wall.
I'm gonna have to go. I've just got to go look up the scene. Yeah, I'm just gonna go look up the scene so I get the reference now. It's like when you're a kid and you keep hearing Godfather references, but you've never seen The Godfather. I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. You know where it's from, you know what it's about, but until you got to see the scene because he doesn't even say that. I don't think. I think that's one of those misnomer quotes.
Sapphire has seen Midnight Express, so Sapphire knows more about it.
I'm here for you. You need human contact.
So there's one of the other inmates. He's in lockup for the weekend. They can't get him out, process him until Monday. It's late Friday. There is a prisoner looking at him, give him a little kiss. Hey,
he's in county for the weekend, which is right in between jail and prison. There's like regular jail, county, and then you go to big boy prison. To quote Office Space, federal fuck me in the ass prison.
We're not going to country club prison. We are going to federal fuck me in the ass prison. It's like Superman 3.
Yes. Fucking decimal point.
So after this, Chip starts trying to get people to turn against Steve, as he calls up. For some reason, he's up on a phone tower. He's up in the sky.
He's doing the old. Robin. He's got the old school equipment because you can go up there and it's like 2 alligator clips, and you just clip it, and you could, like you saw the back of his phone, you can dial out. He has all kinds of shit he ain't supposed to have, especially for that, like surveillance and stuff.
But yeah, he's concerned about Steve, and he wants Robin to know. So he's turning her against him, and now we've got the reference for the scene. Billy can jerk himself off after she flashes him in prison in Midnight Express.
Yeah,
I'd rather see context for the scene. Now we just have to look it up to see some titties.
I'm down.
So yeah, he's letting Robin know I'm concerned about him, and he's going on a date with Robin back with his family at his house, and Chip is just there. He's already at his parents' house. He opens the door and greets Steve and Robin, and they have a little dinner. Chip is telling the medieval times story, but switching roles.
Right,
where Steve is the one that's absolutely just taking it very seriously and trying to fuck him up. Hey man, what are you doing?
That's one of these things about the movie that I like, is that this is masterfully set up. Because it is that, like, Jim Carrey put him in a spot where he could do that and manipulate Steve any way he wants now. Not only does he answer the door, but he's dressed exactly like Mr. Rogers. He's got a cardigan on, he's got a tie on, a white shirt, his hair's like, he looks so different. And
And the family love him. He's been charming them. He's been doing his best and succeeding to charm them while he's there alone with them. And he, after dinner, he introduces him to Password, which was a game on television back in the day.
A little
but
before
this
my
is
time.
Porno Password. I believe Alan Ludden was the host, if I remember correctly. Kitty Carlisle. She was a mainstay of stopping in. I think Kitty Carlisle was the wife of Alan Ludden. Random,
sense.
possible, accurate 1960s and 70s TV logic. Yes, absolutely, yes. David Collins. We haven't mentioned the Ben Stiller show. We've mentioned a lot of people from Mr. Show, but yeah, Ben Stiller brought along his buddies for his directorial debut here. And Bob Odenkirk only able to get in a few laughs, and he loving his the porno password here. This shot I took here, the password was vagina, penis.
I would have said, yeah,
and Chip is partners with Robin. He gets very handsy, huggy with her, like it's a very deep hug that he gives her to really stick it to Steve, who's playing with his mother and very embarrassed to play porno password with his mother. But after she guesses vagina, Dad calls out, "I would have said schlong."
He's so adamant about that. I would have said schlong. Like he's like, damn, that was pretty good.
It's such a fun line and a hilarious read of matter of fact. I would have said schlong.
Steve's father comes to visit him in prison, and he's like, "How could you accept stolen property? No, he says this. I remember now. Are you taking the pot?" Like he says it just like that. And I couldn't stop laughing at that line because who says that except a parent, an out-of-touch parent.
We did have Bob Backlund letting everyone know in the mid-90s that he's never eaten marijuana.
I've never eaten any marijuana.
Someone remixed that. There's an "I've never eaten marijuana" by Bob Backlund that's remixed on the internet that's very catchy. So at this point, Steve taps out when the password is clitoris, and Chip Douglas can't quite say clitoris. No, I will not say that to my mother. And
it's just skin, Steven.
It's just skin. So he's storming off, and Chips goes after him and says something quietly in his ear. About Robin's birthmark as he was installing her cable. He's got a birthmark on her shoulder. Big old punch, and Bob Odenkirk's one big line of the movie. "What's wrong with you, man?"
He delivers it very well. And the whole time, Matthew Broderick it's so great because he's not crazy, but from the family perspective and the way Chip's acting, you would, if you were with the family, you would believe it, that he's just been in jail, he's in trouble, he's spiraling out of control. But it's really, Jim Carrey is doing a fantastic job of pushing this guy's buttons. And that's like what I like about the movie. It's setup and payoff epitome. It's like the setups are so great and the payoffs come really good. Like Husey mentioned, it kind of tapers at the end. I would say the last 5 minutes of the movie are probably not the best part of the movie, but I think the first rest.
And once again, we don't know what was and what was not cut.
Right.
As I mentioned up front, in my rewatch of this time, I wasn't a big fan of it. But knowing the past of it, that our buddy Media Pastimes went into in this video, knowing that there was a version that was darker, I think I would have absolutely loved the version that we didn't get to see. That because this doesn't feel like it accomplished what it set out to do. But this is after studio meddling, trying to appeal to a wider audience, when if they would have appealed to that to the audience that they were going for. I believe I would have loved this movie, but yeah, too many things cut out to make this attempt to make their money back.
That's it. I think they made their money back domestically, but not as much as they were planning on, because like Ace Ventura was $100 million domestic return. You know, this was a $40 million movie, and I think it made 60 domestic, and then like 150 international. So it wasn't like technically a flop, but it was a disappointment because of what the expectation was and what got delivered.
And yeah, if they would have delivered that fully dark movie, that wide audience still wouldn't have liked it. But
exactly,
I'm convinced that I would be a much bigger fan of this movie if we would be able to see that original director's cut.
Right. Especially with Ben Stiller and Judd Apatow, because that's we kind of glossed over the Stan and Sam Sweet trial that plays in. It's like
that's intertwined into this.
And that's Ben Stiller.
I was able to make the parallels at this age to the O.J. Simpson trial,
right?
Of just the whole world. They kind of mashed up the O.J. Simpson trial and the Menendez brothers trial with these two twin brothers that starred in this show in the late 70s or early 80s. One of them fell in with a cult. The other one fell in with drugs, and the druggie killed the cult member. And I was disappointed I wasn't able to get the police call past the copyright detector, where there was a man. He came up. He shot my brother. He was Asian. And there was an Asian man. He was speaking Asian.
Like it's he doesn't.
Both played by Ben Stiller, making a cameo.
Is that the one where Ben Stiller takes the glasses off and throws them on the desk because he's like upset? There's like a quick clip where he just gets mad. And he's like, "Fuck."
Yes, I do believe that's that one, which comes to us through an MTV News. I did enjoy
Kurt
that.
Loder, yeah.
It was Tabitha Soren. Actually.
Oh, was it Tabitha this one?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Kurt
Loder and Tabitha Soren were the two that I remember most. There were some others in there, but Tabitha Soren got the nod to be the anchor on the Cable Guy.
Yeah, those were good old MTV days, man. We some good downtown. Julie Brown used to be a VJ.
Not to be confused with Julie Brown, who appeared on Quantum Leap in a fun episode.
Oh yes,
very silly episode of Quantum Leap with Julie Brown, not the downtown version.
I want to watch that show again. That's another one I got to revisit. It's going back to Quantum Leap.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've got extensive notes on to do a review of the new Quantum Leap because it is bafflingly awful, terrible in every single way. As you asked me about talking about the music in this episode, I'm like, oh, of course we'll talk about the music. That's a big part of the presentation. And I fucking hate the music choices in the new Quantum Leap so much. I hate every single choice made in the new Quantum Leap. It hurts. I can't move forward. I got through taking notes of a few episodes, but it physically hurts me. The worst, very special episode I have ever seen. It was from the new Quantum Leap. Holy shit. I really wanted to get up to episode 13 in my Quantum Load series. But in writing the scripts, going back and watching them again, and I still haven't pulled clips from them. I'd have to watch them fucking again. I can't do it. Patreon. Anyone want to pay me money? That's a
there you go. Yeah, that's
I will do Quantum Load for money, but oh fuck, that hurts, man. This movie did not hurt.
I'm glad. And speaking of music, that's this theme right here. Yeah, it's from Mod Squad. It's the Mod Squad chase scene music. I just wanted to be friends, and then he starts chasing them.
As the dream sequence chase. And mostly I do not like dream sequences, but this was used correctly, where it's a dream sequence the entire time, and it's just going while we have Steve very flipped out about this stalker that he has in the Cable Guy that he now knows is not Chip Douglas. after getting arrested, and
Yes, that's right. That's right. It comes to light that
we mentioned the fired earlier. This is when that happens, getting fired from his job. This dream sequence happens, showing his state of mind of being just absolutely terrified of what this guy is capable of.
When Matthew Broderick gets fired, it's because there was cameras in the house. He showed the still, but Jim Carrey somehow blasts the video throughout the entire office on every machine.
Person's screen. Yeah, he's able to hack into every computer screen for the hair plugs.
And that's unheard of in 1996, 97. You know what I mean? Like, they were running Windows 98 at that point, or probably
it's like working for
Windows
Mr.
for
he has no vision.
Yeah, Mr. Magoo, that's right. It's like working for
Mr. Magoo. Yeah, hacking was just very like
it was remedial.
Whatever, anything's possible. The technical aspect didn't matter. He's just got these hacking abilities, and bam, able to make.
You just needed the knowledge at that point, right? Like there was no, like now there's firewalls and further security measures to stop that kind of thing. But like you said, he climbed the pole and made a phone call. He had stuff he wasn't supposed to have in order to do technical work. And being a cable guy, you kind of like with that clipboard and a hat, you could just kind of walk anywhere if you got a clipboard and a hard hat on. People don't question you. You just go places.
Like the news and such. You just walk in to the Bass Pro looking like someone who would be delivering that and just carry it out. Like people steal canoes just by looking official. He's got on the cable guy jumpsuit. He's got the cable guy van. He knows how to hook up the cable. He must be the cable guy.
And he's also built a very beneficial circle for himself, you know, with the police. When he was in jail, hey, Benny, how's that sports package? And the corrections officer was like, hey, you know, like they're all, it shows how easy it is to bribe somebody.
That's right, because Matthew Broderick points right at him. This is the man. This is the man who stole all those things. And yeah,
hey Bernie, how's that sport?
Doing great.
And that was it. And so he gets out. He goes to the party with his family. They're all like, everybody's against Matthew Broderick at this point, and he's at home. The clip of the Stan Sweet trial plays. And earlier, he also seen the police report for the guy that beat up Owen Wilson. And so he falls asleep with Jim Carrey on his mind, basically, and has this crazy dream sequence where Jim Carrey's trying to kick the door in. I just wanted to hang out, you know, and he's like,
and he does this very funny run too. It's one of those things that I didn't see it in the trailer we watched, but wouldn't be surprised if that was in the trailer. Of look, Jim Carrey's doing this wacky run. Come see our wacky animated movie.
Right, very animated, wacky, very elongated, stretched out, and he's chasing them. And they do a good shot. I think the hallway. They do that stretch hallway shot that they do in scary movies a lot of times, where the doorway at the other end just gets that much further away and you can't run away. But then he steps out of it and wakes up.
Just as Jim Carrey pounces on him, and does he get I think he calls Robin, and she says she's going out with Chip, which is now leading to our big finale of Chip taking Robin to the information superhighway. With a very informative neighbor.
I remember what happens. Jack Black calls him up and says, guess what? Chip Douglas. Why do I know that name? And then, so they work it out. My three, that's what he says. He doesn't even say hello. He just says, my three sons, Chip and Ernie Douglas. Like they figure it out. And you might know Larry Tate from a little show called Bewitched, because that was, the main character's boss's name was Larry Tate from Bewitched. And then he mentioned somebody wanted to be called the Big Ragu. And there's a whole laundry list. This guy's been fired from every cable company in the tri-state area.
But he has all the knowledge. So he's able to keep all his preferred customers on that preferred customer list.
Hi, Michaela. Yes, and that's the thing. That that helped him out, but it burned him in the end. Because he was a rogue cable guy,
And he
and
wasn't able to become friends of any of them. Like yeah, we mentioned this earlier that he didn't find the opening somehow. He's got all these preferred customers that he's really trying to make a friendship with, but he saw an opening with Matthew Broderick, with this preferred customer, that he could actually have a real live human friend.
I think he was really trying to drive both Robin and the Jack Black character out of his life, to, which is one of those borderline personality tactics.
At
Isolate
first,
you
yeah, he
from
was trying
all
to
your
get
friends.
at first he was trying to get Robin and him back together to appeal to him.
Right.
But yeah, at some point that switches when he
Well,
decides he
that's
needs to destroy him.
right. Well, that's what he says to him on the balcony. And Jim Carrey comes out of fucking nowhere too. He just steps out from behind a bush and says, "Like, I set him up, you knock him down." And that's when he's like, "Look, I might be getting back together with Robin, and I don't have any room for a new friend in my life." And that's really what, like you said, Jim Carrey's getting Robin back for Matthew Broderick backfired on Jim Carrey, because now he wants to focus on the relationship instead of
which
being
which is all he's wanted
Jim
the
Carrey
whole
being the
time.
guy. Right, right,
And as we mentioned, he's blown off Jack Black many of times. So this is nothing new that he's blowing off his friends for his romantic relationship with Robin.
right. No, he's super smitten with her. And at the lunch earlier in the movie, when he says, "Oh, I'll be at home cooking for myself. I'm going to watch Sleepless in Seattle," and Robin responds right on point, "Oh, I love that movie. Oh, if you're in the neighborhood, come around. Oh, maybe I will." And then Matthew Broderick goes, "Whatever," and he turns and walks away, and he's got this fucking smile on his face, like he knows he just put in the deepest groundwork, and it's going to work.
All
But
thanks to his buddy Jim Carrey. Yeah, he did not know he was, as he was getting closer, he was driving himself away, because that's just Matthew
right,
Broderick's character in this.
right,
I've had friends like that too. I had a few friends like that out in Los Angeles, where we would be collaborating. We would be getting like script ideas together, writing a pilot, and then they get a girlfriend, and they can't chew
ghost,
gum and have a girlfriend at the same
right,
time. So I know that's kind of the type that Matthew Broderick is in this movie. He can have a girlfriend, or he can
100%.
chew gum. He can't do
That's it.
both.
And I think he felt bad about blowing off Jack Black because he was upset about not going to the concert.
And
And
Soundgarden,
it's
motherfucker.
yeah, dude. Unfortunately, later on, you won't get to see him anymore.
I got to get my dick wet. But we do get Kyle Gass instead of another one, as we get to the. I mentioned the informative neighbor.
Yes.
Very, very just matter of fact. In this helpful neighbor, she left with the cable guy. Said something about the information superhighway,
Which is the callback to that speech that he gives Matthew Broderick in the earliest part of the movie.
Yeah, we know he's going to the satellites, and we actually don't know what he was going to do with Robin. Like, he ties her up, and Matthew Broderick shows up to have this big confrontation, but we don't know exactly what he was going to do with her if Matthew Broderick didn't show up and let him live out another TV fantasy of his, of this big showdown with the damsel in distress being helpless above them.
Yeah, she was tied to the satellite peak and was hanging in the middle. It's pouring rain. So I forget how Matthew Broderick finds out that, like, he goes to see Robin. He was on the phone with Jack Black, and then he worries about Robin.
It was this helpful neighbor, the helpful neighbor.
When she's at Robin's house. Yeah, and then Matthew Broderick drives out to here, and Jim Carrey's got this all set up like it's a movie finale. It gets a little meta right here because he is acting out a climactic fantasy for a film,
coming out of nowhere to attack Matthew Broderick, the big surprise attack. And Matthew Broderick is able to get the upper hand very easily. I guess Owen Wilson just had no fighting skills earlier because Jim Carrey was able to manhandle him. But here in this finale fight, Matthew Broderick very easily gets the upper hand and punches his lisp away and then back again.
Yes, that's right. He's like, Steven, and he gets rid of it. He's like, Steven, my lisp is gone. And then he hits him again. He's like, you stupid son of a bitch. And then he headbutts him. And I think that puts Matthew Broderick out for a minute. So Jim runs away, grabs Robin, and starts climbing up the pole, the scaffolding to the tower. And then Jim Carrey's like, oh, you know what's shitty about real life is there's no dramatic music. And he goes, bum, bada, bum, bum, bada, bum, 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 bum. And he's like climbing up this, 100-foot broadcast tower holding this dude's girlfriend. And then Matthew Broderick makes the jump from the dish to the tower. And he's like, whoa, look who's a superhero. And Matthew Broderick chases him up. And the only weapon that Jim Carrey has is a staple gun. And he shoots staples at Matthew Broderick. And this is where they all end up, I think, on the top of the thing. And the helicopter's there. The police have finally arrived. Steven called the fuzz. What you gonna do? And
Steven called the fuzz. And he like comes down from his high in this moment. He starts like seeing the world for what it is as he has this speech here.
Yeah, he specifically says, because Matthew Broderick asked him, he's like, what is your plan? And he's like, I don't have a plan as such, just kind of moment to moment. Yeah. Winging it, really. And that kind of explained he wasn't thinking ahead, but
he was just
he knew it was coming
in the movie.
Right. He was trying to make it come to a head like a movie. And this is the clip. I mean, the helicopter starts shining the light in his face.
And he's finally coming back down to earth after deciding that he's living out all those movie fantasies that he saw.
I just wanted to be your friend, but I screwed it up.
It's like super sad and dark.
The way that he delivered that and the music underneath really does pull at you. It's well done.
Quiet down and just chill out in front of the TV for a while. Is that it? You were never there for me, were you, Mother?
A bit ham-fisted, right on the head as he's talking to the helicopter, as if it was his mother, Kathy Griffin, who was going out trolling for some dick to get him a little brother, which apparently never happened. She was probably on the pill or birth control of some sort at that point to indeed not give him a little brother. She didn't want another one of those.
Yeah, it's in that one little scene where she's going out to the bar. It's a very good show, don't tell moment. You can see the whole coffee table in front of the couch, the kid's 3 inches from the TV, and is about to be left alone by the single mom who can't grow up really and just wants to continue to go out to the bar and party. And
coming back down to life, as you mentioned, the big swan dive. Jim Carrey is done. He's seeing himself for what he is. He's built up this fantasy around, but reality has hit him so hard. Like, I'm just going to impale myself and looks like he impales himself, but no, he's landed right next to it. He's badly hurt himself, knocks out the cable. This is where we get our buddy Kyle Gass picking up a book, the entire world waiting for the Sweet Brothers verdict.
Right.
Everyone is ready to hear the obviously guilty brother be sentenced to his guilty sentence to his guilty sentence. I said that sentence all fucked up. But yeah, just as they're about to say guilty or not guilty, Jim Carrey breaks the satellite with his back, and Kyle Gass picks himself up a book with a little message to, hey folks, unplug. Nope, society didn't do that.
No,
we have
double down. triple down.
We have plugged in so many fucking things. So didn't get the final verdict of what happened with the Sweet Brothers, and it ends with what I found funny was hugging Robin and Steve hugging. Let's go home. Oh no! You two were trespassing. You've got to go back to county before you two can go home.
Right. He was
I
out
don't
on
mention
bail.
that, but just in my mind, I'm like, oh no! It's back to jail for you.
At least for Matthew Broderick, because he was out on bail, and that's trespassing. They both. You're not allowed to be there.
They outright say that over the megaphone. Just because you were saving your girlfriend's life, all of you were still trespassing. You're going to county. He's that I do like the very ending of Jim Carrey up with the helicopter medic. You're gonna make it, pal. Hang in there, buddy.
Yeah,
and his face just getting you see it clicking. He's made a friend. You mean that? I'm your buddy. He's found his next target.
That's the only part of the movie that I kind of didn't like, because they were sort of setting up a sequel, in my opinion. And I don't think they really were, but I think they were trying to. Had this movie done better, I think we would got a shittier sequel for sure.
I didn't see that as specifically setting up a sequel. Just as like it's happening again.
Yeah,
he came to a realization momentarily, but his brain isn't fixed. He's found a new friend to stalk.
Oh yeah, especially a guy that saved his life. Like, you're gonna be all right, buddy. Like, he's one of the first responders to be there to help him. But yeah, that's it. He's like, it's time to kill the babysitter, and he does that. He just falls backwards, and then of course,
was that from "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead"? I wasn't quite sure what that quote was from.
I don't know. On the back of the Laserdisc, it makes it sound like it's an original quote from him. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't quite place that. And "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead" is a little bit new for him with all his references.
Yeah, there was a specific era that a lot of those references came from,
and that's more our
70s,
era.
70s, 80s.
Yeah, "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead." That's more us that will recognize Skeet shooting the dishes. Do the dishes.
Is that Christina Applegate?
Are done. Yeah, that was Christina Applegate's big movie while on hiatus from Married with Children.
That was another thing that was holding up Chris Farley. Is he had Saturday Night Live to do. That was
he was doing that simultaneously with Tommy Boy. They were filming in Toronto and doing New York Saturday Night Live in New York City at the same time. They were run ragged, and people look at the leeway that Pete Davidson it was allowed to have and just go out and do things for weeks at a time. And I don't think he is anywhere. I guess he is a big enough name to warrant that. To me, he isn't, but that's Lauren's call, Lauren's show.
You like Kids in the Hall a lot. Mark McKinney.
That's my favorite.
Mark McKinney does a great Lauren Michaels. Like, he does the best. Mike Myers does a Lauren Michaels impression, but I think he stole it from Mark McKinney.
That's how I do impressions. As I said, someone else unlocks the code, the formula, and then my impression of that impression to figure that out. So that was The Cable Guy. Not a big fan of it in its current stage. You said you've watched it a whole bunch, so you're a much bigger fan than I was. I am very curious of the director's cut. I think this could be a really good movie with that director's cut in place, but this cut, not a big fan of. I can clearly see the studio trying to course correct very last minute and delivering a movie that appeals even smaller than what it would have before. So
like you mentioned, had some of the more darker scenes stayed in, it would be a higher cult classic. status now, because they weren't going to do well in the box office no matter what. The expectation of, if it would have not been the Cable Guy and it would have been 23, because he didn't get a lot of love for that movie.
No, that was another one of his earlier forays into. Actually, I can't think of anything particularly too dark. Thanks to this movie breaking him from breaking Jim Carrey from the wacky mold, he was able to do the Andy Kaufman movie, which I've talked to you about off air. I'm not a huge fan of that. I want the Andy Kaufman biopic to be an absurdist movie, and I have a shitload of notes on to be led with a sing along. I think the opening credits of the Andy Kaufman movie should be the actor acknowledging that he's the actor playing Andy Kaufman and leading the audience in a sing along. And some cities will actually sing along. Cities, like people go to the theater anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really care for Man on the Moon that much. I heard a lot of people that were close to Andy during his life who worked with Jim Carrey during that movie said he was doing caricature. What we would be doing based on Andy Kaufman's work and not actually knowing who Andy Kaufman was as a person.
Knowing what we do about Andy Kaufman, Elaine Nardo. I usually know her name from Taxi. I can't pull her name right now. Mary Lou Henner. Mary Lou Henner is one of those people with a freak memory, and she said he was like a big kid. He liked to do a good job, and it was only when he was in his Tony Clifton persona that he was
unbearable,
that kind of obnoxious type of person that Jim Carrey was just kind of portraying him as doing his Andy Kaufman 24/7 type thing as an obnoxious Andy, where obnoxious Andy was when he was in character.
Right. And that's why I kind of got turned off. I felt like that's exactly, you just put it right in a nutshell for me. I felt like he was doing what he thought Andy Kaufman was instead of learning who Andy Kaufman was. He was just being character of who he thought he was. But another good movie that came from the Cable Guy was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't think
that one I do enjoy. Yes, absolutely.
I don't think Jim Carrey would have got that look as more of a serious actor had he not shown chops here, or had another vehicle to show that kind of stuff off. Because he's very much not Ace Ventura in the Cable Guy. There's little bits,
little nods. His warm up on the basketball court, the dream sequence with the silly run. There's little
and that's
nods.
Just him being Jim Carrey, really, because in Living Color he was very similar, especially with Fire Marshal Bill. That was a cartoon character, such a cartoon character, a living cartoon character.
Yeah, if this movie were remade today, or not just made in general today, it would actually be much more relevant with the amount of people who are like the Jim Carrey character, the not Chip Douglas, who have their life based off of television and movies of yesteryear.
Yeah, it's I don't remember if I read it on the website or somewhere else, but in an interview, Jim Carrey said that this was one of his favorite roles to do because of what the material is. All of us, to some degree, were raised by the television. Not necessarily to that degree, where you're saying I'm the bastard son of Claire Huxtable, or I learned the facts of life from watching the facts of life. Oh God, that was part of that lucidity that he was getting into. He's like, dude, television sets up such a false reality versus what we go out and live every day. And he got caught up in that.
Earlier of the end kind of petering out, that also kind of goes along with the state of mind of the character, where he thought this out to a certain degree, and then it petered out, and he was playing it moment by moment.
Right.
So end kind of did peter out, but it actually did reflect well of the character's ideas actually petering out, because he had the grandiose idea but didn't know where the fuck to take it.
And that's a lot. That's what happens to a lot of us. I would for sure in the realm of Hollywood blame J.J. Abrams for not being able to finish.
Fuck yes. I am very passionate about J.J. Abrams being highly overrated as a talent, because a storyteller tells a story. A storyteller doesn't say, hey, wouldn't this be cool? You take it, finish it.
Yeah, that's basically what happens. He gets like 80% done, and then, yeah.
And that's what JJ does. That's why JJ didn't want to come back for Star Wars. It was actually like a dick measuring competition between him and Rian Johnson of who could do less who could fuck up this trilogy more. And it's on Kathleen Kennedy for allowing the directors to just take that trilogy wherever the fuck they wanted. And then the studio, JJ, you're the only one that can help. Well, let me just course correct so much in episode 9, because Rian Johnson took it in directions I didn't want to. So let's just erase a bunch of this shit that he established in episode 8. When you should have brought, in hindsight, you should have brought someone in that wasn't JJ, so they could have been like, all right, this is what I'm working with. What the fuck do I do with this? Instead of just like, no.
Right. Yeah, no, he totally left turned all of J.J. Abrams stuff from episode 8 into episode 9. It's amazing to me what happened, especially knowing that they had outlines from George Lucas for all 3 movies. And they basically trashed it.
Someone who's much more a Trek fan was telling me like what they did with Ahsoka was kind of what was in the outline, and I'm not sure how people feel about that. I have mixed feelings of Ahsoka, but I did like the colonel, the general coming back. There were certain aspects that I did enjoy that I'd be like, oh, all right, if that's what Lucas was planning, I think they could have put this together instead of what JJ did there. And yeah, JJ's member berries. That's the member berries are this character.
Yes, exactly. It's awful.
JJ Abrams was appealing to not Chip Douglas here with all he was doing with Star Wars.
And with this movie, there's nothing but member berries throughout this whole movie, because it's sort of self-referential, bringing up My Three Sons. Jerry Springer was in the very beginning. And it was an I'm a Man episode of Jerry Springer. That was like you don't see that anymore on regular daytime television. Like everything that kind of calls back to what now, like especially with all the CRT televisions and the old Windows computers in there, it's like, Jesus Christ, this movie's almost 30 years old. And it was a bit ahead of its time because he was already talking about smart television. Before, like he was saying, television, phone, and computer, it's all integrated.
It's all integrated.
It really is now.
The playing your friend from Vietnam in Mortal Kombat is the one that really got me as I mentioned earlier, of him predicting the future. All those things are integrated, but the playing a video game with your buddy across the world, yep, it's there.
And you wouldn't have thought that in 1997. You really kind of, like you were saying, AOL discs and stuff were still showing up in the mail.
I guess it's especially funny to me because still exactly that game. Exactly
right,
that game, Mortal Kombat 1.
Where are we at now? Oh, yeah, because they just remastered the first one.
They keep making the story so convoluted that they reboot it. They got several games in to rebooting the storyline, and it got so convoluted that they just rebooted it again in this newest one.
Because I know we were up to, I think 11 was the last.
Yeah, I think 9, 10, 11. Okay, I believe that was the rebooted storyline that got so convoluted. They were like, let's fuck it. Let's not have Fire God Liu Kang in the next one. Let's just have Liu Kang in the next one and do it again. Oh
yeah. And a lot of other characters that they worked in, Terminator, Jason, I think.
Oh, John Cena's in this one. I saw a bunch of it. a bunch
Was
of
he good?
peacemakers, beginning of the fight taunts in this one.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I know that's crazy. That's why, like, as a kid, when I heard that, I was like, I wonder if that's really going to happen. And here we are. I'm talking to you states away on a near crystal clear connection, other than my shitty microphone and shitty internet, but
Adequate. I would
yeah,
call
it's
it
I'll take
serviceable.
adequate, serviceable.
Adequate. Yeah, the poor audio. There's other people with the poor audio that I was like, I don't know if I could even have you on the chatting show with that poor audio. Adequate to serviceable audio.
Yeah, and that's just because it's the laptop mic. I need to get something going here. All right. Wow. That's the whole movie then, right? Oh, geez.
Yep, that's the whole movie. We've gotten on to our little sidetracks here of J.J. Abrams talking about if it was remade today, and oh boy, like how he like if it was remade today, I wouldn't need the character telling us what it was from, like Jim Carrey did a lot in here. I would just know,
right.
if it were made today. Any reference from the 80s and 90s, my ridiculous amount of knowledge there. Even the random Kids in the Hall stuff. There is a sketch from Kids in the Hall since Hack Ride put up that it is still underrated. I want to mention the sketch where they have a sport where two teams are chained together in a circle around a spitting cobra. That one has always stuck with me. It's so absurd. I don't think it even really goes anywhere. But that premise, and there's like they're in a big soccer arena, and there's like a dozen fans within these thousands of seats watching these men tied together in this circle as the spitting cobra chooses one to blind with its poison after another.
That sounds right. And that's why I like sketch comedy the most, because there's just sometimes you can't get a scene like that going in any other context. You have to just make the bit, like let it be self-contained and laugh at it for what it is instead of trying to work out why it is what it is. But because that sounds like a ridiculous sport. I can't remember that sketch off the top of my head. One of the ones that I do remember is the racquetball tournament with the Eliminator. I think that's what he called his name. So
yes,
he wore a luchador mask and would harass all the other.
Once you said the Eliminator, it started clicking. I believe that was Bruce McCullough as the Eliminator.
Yeah, that was a good one, and everybody remembers squishing your head.
That's one probably... that really made it into the public zeitgeist. Is the "I'm squishing your head" guy.
It's a good show, and Canadians are weird.
And I would call that just a plain old success. They got four seasons out of that, good 100 or so episodes. But we'll be back talking about more successful failures. I was talking yesterday about a variant, Utter Failures, reworking my show where it was going to be a Mr. Plinkett style review of Hindsight Rewrite, just maybe throwing that on as a segment, specifically with the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. That one, it might get taken down, and putting as much effort into that, I'm gonna have to look into that. Like they're very alert about taking that down. Not like this movie where they're alert of taking it down because there's money to be had, but because he's just so fucking embarrassed. Even on the remake of the game, they re-released the Angry Video Game Nerd game, and there was two of them. The second one had a bunch of the movie references in it. They took them all out because he just doesn't want to be reminded of what killed his passion. His lifelong passion died. Don't remind me.
Yeah, he wrecked himself. Take
those videos down. Don't remind me of how I killed my lifelong passion and figured out I wasn't talented in the only thing I wanted to do in my life since I had cognizant thought. Sorry, you did it for the world to see. It's out there.
When I was younger, I really wanted to play guitar a lot, and I never really got around to getting one on my own. I would always ask my parents, "Can I get a guitar? Can I get a guitar?" And I would kind of put it on them to get me one. And when I finally got one, I thought I was going to be like Eddie Van Halen. Like I was just going to pick it up and be able to be good at it. And I feel like with all of the films that James made up into actually making a real film, he thought he could make a Hollywood produced budgeted film.
He
Because
did. Like, he thought that he was
he
training
was
himself by
confident.
doing Brendan Small home movies, and no.
No,
You're
no,
absolutely
dude,
right.
if you're editing on 2 VCRs with 2 different remotes and you're pressing stop and record from one VHS tape to another, you don't have right editing equipment, man. I mean, again, like in your mind, I think you think you're going to be better at the thing until all of the information comes in. He didn't know he was going to have all of that staff, all of the props, all of he just had a script.
And he
was
thought
like,
it
I'm
was
just
going
going
to
to
be
direct.
okay that it looks bad because it's a low budget movie. That in all the behind the scenes stuff, I'm still trying to figure out if he really did have that thought in his head. It's okay that it looks bad. No, low budget films work with their limitations. You're wallowing in your limitations.
Yeah,
Is it a
that's it.
cope? Was it a cope, or did he really think that? Was he that? And yeah, the way that it sounds like you're in the mindset that he really thought that it was not a cope. And yeah, that instrument, I would like to start learning strings. Something about the violin speaks to me. That seems like a nice tail catching instrument too. But I do have to sound like a grade school, someone in grade school for quite a few years before I can start catching some tail with a violin. That's
Right.
what I'm very intimidated about at this age, picking up an instrument. Like I can make it happen. And by my mid 40s, actually, that's when I'll need it. That will be a good investment itself. By the time I'm
Yes.
in my mid 40s, I'm going to need some help. Come over here, violin. Bring over all the tail.
That's why there's a lot of guitar guys. And I think ukulele girls are making a big trend too. I'm surprised there's not more ukulele girls on your TikTok show.
Yeah, Kate Micucci was patient zero of ukulele girls. And yeah, it has been. I think I've had one ukulele girl in all of the TikTok Around the Clock episodes. Now that I try to think of it, I am surprised about that because, oh boy, do I like? And Kate Micucci herself is over there on TikTok, but I haven't seen her ukuleleing it up. She's just wandering around Los Angeles making random videos. But now we are rambling. We thank you for sticking with us through our ramblings. We'll be back probably in 2 weeks. We'll discuss what we'll do on successful failures. I'll be back next week, Tuesday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, with some show of some short TikTok Around the Clock co-host audition. And if you're in Tampa, hit me up over on my Discord, over on the WATP Meet Discord. I will be there through Sunday with Annie, and we'll be back soon with What Is This Game? Hopefully with the guest who sent us down this fucking gigantic rabbit hole of Arkham Knight. Anything to plug, Tommy?
Not really. Just the Spurgtopia Discord where I'm at. Your Discord. Spurg Snake on Twitter.
Discord, very fun Discord.
Yeah.
Hit that up and drop in some GIFs in the GIF off when that happens.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun there. There's a couple. There's a music channel, a television and movies channel, and there's a lot of Hackverse related stuff. You know, Stuttering John, NLO,
Brennan,
WAP, Kevin Brennan.
NLO.
Yeah, all these guys. So we rip on there. We Photoshop penises in their face and a
lot of goofing on Steel Toe as of late.
Yes.
That was one of my highest viewed episodes. I got a lot of Spurgtopia folks that are ready to rip on Aaron Imholt, and he's fun to rip on. He makes really it easy fun to goof on.
He really makes it easy.
If you would like to goof on Aaron Imholt, check out the Spurgtopia Discord any day he's on. There is someone pulling clips.
Sam V has been killing it. Sam and Citizen M have been pulling some really good clips on those guys.
Sam V, Citizen M. I think Doom is in there.
Doom is the master. He's
Doom has a lot of Stuttering John clips. What does he call it? The out of context Stuttering John clips over on Doom's channel. The Doom Paya.
Yes, yeah, and he does a really good job with those. Those are so hilarious. You can't not laugh at out of context Stuttering John.
Well, that was the episode for today. That was our plugs for the day. I thank you all for joining. Now feel free to go away.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Places all. All join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LS, MFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right to left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girl. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LS, MFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.